Would it make you the jerk for refusing to let your wife spend your money on her friend? We'll get to that in a bit, but first, am I the jerk for not leaving my estate to my severely disabled brother? I, 33-year-old female, received a terminal diagnosis earlier this year. I've got a couple of years at best estimate to get everything in order before I won't have any cognitive ability to do so anymore. I've been working with a lawyer and an end-of-life care social worker to make sure everything will go as smoothly as possible and my wishes will be respected. I also have a complicated family situation. My parents were never married and my dad died when I was 12 of the same condition I now have. I never married, so all his assets were put in a trust for me by my grandparents. My mom married after they broke up and had my half-brother, 26-year-old male. He's severely mentally disabled. He's a 7-year-old in a grown man's body, and even with all the resources they can get, he's very difficult to care for, and my mom and stepdad barely get by most of the time. They tried really hard to get legal control of my trust when I was living with them, but couldn't. I help out some when things are really hard, but I feel like my mom treats me like an emergency fund rather than her daughter, and my stepdad has been bitter about the financial stuff. My dad was very successful and his family is well off, since even before my dad died. I don't talk to either of them about my life because they always get passive-aggressive and guilt-trippy. I've been trying to talk more with my mom now that I know I'm on borrowed time. We've never had a great relationship, but I wanted to try and resolve some of it. She's been much nicer to me and more concerned since the diagnosis, so I thought it was okay to open up a bit. I didn't want her to be blindsided or feel like she has to take on anything since I've appointed another family member to be my medical and financial POA, so I talked to her recently about my plans. I told her that I know my half-brother is a full-time job, so I'm having other people take care of my care so she won't be burdened. She was thankful for that, and then brought up how she always hoped that I would be the one to make sure my brother was taken care of when she was gone, and that in a way, I still would be. She would put whatever I leave behind into his care fund and make sure he knows it's from his big sister. This is where I might be the jerk. I'm not leaving anything to my mom or brother. I don't have kids, but I've been the favorite auntie to my best friend's 2 children for their entire lives. They're the light of my life, and I spend a lot of time with them. My BFF and I have been through a lot together. She and her husband have been the ones going with me to appointments and letting me crash in their spare room when I was too sick from meds to be home alone. Whatever is left over after I'm gone is going to the kids for college. I know it's money that could secure better care for my half-brother and take some of the load off my mom, but I feel like I want to help someone else now. So my personal thought on this is NTA. It's already bad enough to have to cope with the fact that you're terminally ill, and the last thing that you want to do is be lopping this guilt on top of it. So do what you want, it's your money, and you know one way or another you're going to be helping someone that really needs it. So NTA. Lucky61530 commented, "First, I just want to say, I'm very sorry to hear about your diagnosis, and I'm glad to hear you have a team of professionals helping you to make the transition easier. That's never an easy thing to hear or process, so please be kind to yourself and know it's okay to have a range of emotions regarding this news. You're NTA at all. It sounds like your close friends have really been your support network through this and are going to continue being your support network. That is wonderful to have friends like that. Your estate should go to whomever you want it to go to. Everyone seems to think there's this unspoken rule that family must be taken care of first, but what they don't realize is family isn't just about blood relations. Family is what you make of it. Your friend and their 2 children have been your family and support, so of course you want to make sure they're taken care of. A college trust is an amazing thing to leave for them, and it sounds like they'll be grateful. Please don't give in to your mom and stepdad. Even if you did leave something for your brother, there's no guarantee it would be used to better his care, especially since they've tried to get access to your trust fund before. Stick to your feelings and wishes." Tight Jaguar 3881 responded saying, "Do not tell them what you're planning to do. They'll make your life miserable. Get a good lawyer so the will cannot be contested. Perhaps a trust for the children is best, but get legal advice. Just say you've taken care of everything, and it upsets you to talk about it. Also, hi, my name is Brendan, and if you guys enjoy these Am I the Jerk videos, it'd be awesome if you left a like or left a review if you're listening to our podcast. That said, our next story is Am I the jerk for not considering a name important to my parents and my husband's parents for our daughter? My husband and I had our first child together a week ago, and we chose a name that our families weren't thrilled about. Wren, for those who will ask. They didn't really say anything, but I know neither side loves nature-themed names. It was a couple of days after she was born that my parents told me that they had the name Dorothy saved for a daughter after me, and when I was 2, they miscarried a baby and called her Dorothy in their hearts. They told me Dorothy would be a lovely name, and Dorothy Wren doesn't sound terrible, so wouldn't that be a nice way to honor the baby who should have been my sibling? A couple of days later, my husband's parents and my parents told us they wanted us to consider the name Dorothy, and after discussing it, they realized it had meaning on both sides. My in-laws were helped a lot by an old elderly neighbor when they first got married, and her name was Dorothy, and they always considered that name for a girl, but they had all boys. Both sets of parents said it was like a message being sent, and it would be the perfect name for our daughter. My husband reminded them that we had already named our daughter, and she's Wren. The parents asked me to consider it, as the mom and I said no. That my husband and I chose the name we feel is right for our daughter, and we have zero regrets. They told us back in their day, you took your parents' and family's wishes on board with naming your children, and followed conventions of the past. My husband actually argued with his parents because they don't speak to either of their first families and were estranged from them their entire adult lives. But there was still a lot of pushback, and my parents said it was hurtful that I wouldn't even consider it. Am I the jerk? Yeah, no, of course you're not the jerk. It's not their child, not their IP, so no, they don't get to make that call. It's fine to make a suggestion, but to insist and to gaslight, wildly inappropriate. I would absolutely push back on this. Don't concede. Name your child what you want to, whether other people think it's a silly name or not. Again, not their kid. Plant Princess commented, okay, nope. Don't your parents know that this is your child and not a family project? The parents get to name the child, not the grandparents. Sure, the grandparents can express their preference, but their preference doesn't constitute an obligation on your part. Also, why call your child after someone who has no connection to your life? That just doesn't make sense. It's true, names used to be passed down. However, unless you're a fervent Catholic or a member of a noble family, this convention has gone the way of the dinosaur. Yes, it still happens, but as a matter of free choice, not coercion. Suppose you did call your child Dorothy. It would be called Dora later on, and I can hear it now, the endless references to Dora the Explorer. I know not everyone agrees with this, but if you feel that the name Wren is the right name, it probably is. You carried the child. You have a very basic connection to the child. You could opt for Dorothy as a second or even third name. The only convention my family has is 3 names, doesn't matter which ones. You would have to be clear through that. If you decide to do this, the parents cannot call the child Dora in everyday life. Yes, perhaps when it needs an admonition, such as Wren's second name Dorothy. Don't do that. Keep the name. You're the parents, you decide, it's your decision. Our next story is, am I the jerk for telling my brother-in-law that if his wife will not have a relationship with me, then I will not have my children to have a relationship with her? I'm married to my brother-in-law's brother. My brother-in-law's wife went no contact with the family a couple years ago. We did not realize it until my other sister-in-law found out that she had her blocked on social media. That's when everything unfolded that she had done it to all of us. She also blocked our phone numbers. When we asked my brother-in-law about it, my brother-in-law said there were too many dramas going on in the family that sister-in-law does not want to be a part of or involved with, and that we are toxic, we're too much for her, and that sister-in-law is too busy to spend her free time being around our energy. Sister-in-law also did not appreciate the family jokes. Brother-in-law did not give an example, but what stuck with me was my mother-in-law told my brother-in-law at their housewarming party when his friend arrived, quote, why my brother-in-law did not marry his best friend instead of his wife, in front of my sister-in-law, which she was only joking because the friend arrived in a nice car. I also did not like the joke, but my sister-in-law did not say anything. I admit that some members of our family would stir up drama here and there, but at the end of the day, we're still family. We do not see eye to eye, but we're still family. So this happened last weekend. One of my husband's cousins got married where my brother-in-law and his wife were in attendance. My brother-in-law sent a group text that his wife will be there in support of their cousin and his wife. Sister-in-law is a good friend of the bride. Brother-in-law said that sister-in-law would not want to discuss the issues, that it was not our day, and asked to give sister-in-law the space. The entire wedding, she talked and laughed with the extended family and friend. She played with my children and my other sister-in-law's children, but ignored us. She did not even look at us, nor acknowledged us. She even turned her back on my husband when he tried to approach her. We're all hurt from her actions because to this date, we do not know what we did that was so bad that we deserve the treatment. So I finally had it and told my brother-in-law that if his wife would not want to have a relationship with us, then she's not allowed to have a relationship with my children. I heard on the background her saying, "That's low and manipulative, but she's the parent, so okay. Don't worry," name of their child, "can still have a relationship with them if they want to. Your family is exhausting. Please deal with it." My brother-in-law told me I'm manipulative for pulling this BS, but respect my decision, then hang up. I tried texting him my reasons, but he was not responding. Am I the jerk? It's kind of petty, not gonna lie. If the kids are enjoying the company of their family, then I think that withholding them from having that connection just because you're mad would kind of make you the jerk in that scenario. However, if you're doing it, if you truly feel like allowing this would do more harm than good in the long run and you're just trying to do right by your kids, then that's also fine as well. So, I don't know, I'm kind of in the middle of this one. Let's see what the other commenter said. Worth Season 3645 commented, "YTA, we're still family. Your first 3 paragraphs says it all. Let's joke at others' expense. You don't know why she's acting this way? Mother-in-law makes a statement at sister-in-law's house about marrying his best friend instead of her. Your family does sound toxic and exhausting. Your sister-in-law asked everyone to give her space. How many besides your husband tried to approach her? And now you want to act like a child yourself. Well, if she's going to act this way, which was perfectly civil from your description and in my opinion, she cannot talk to my children. And yet, she's even saying her child can still have a relationship with you if they choose to do so, which further solidifies her behavior towards your family." Our next story is, "Am I the jerk for not telling my dad's wife more about my medical condition and how it impacts me? I, 19-year-old male, have a form of epilepsy that has needed to be accommodated for my whole life. I don't have seizures every day, but I am on meds. I do still get seizures and need to be careful about what I look at or do for too long. My mom died when I was 10, and last year my dad remarried. I was still living with him at the time. But a couple of weeks after the wedding, his wife went into my study space and she broke a photo of my mom and a glass figurine that my mom used to own while cleaning. She apologized for the photo and brushed off the figurine, even though she knew what it was, and she did it because she thought it was ugly. I asked her why the heck she went in there in the first place. She had to go through my room to get to the study space, and she told me she was cleaning and wanted to do something nice. She told me accidents happen, and I asked her how she just happened to break a photo frame holding my mom's photo and a figurine my mom used to own. She told me I was reading too much into it and that I should be grateful she was willing to even look at anything that belonged to my mom. The fight got so bad that I decided to move out of my dad's house because I did not trust her with anything of my mom's. I also didn't want to have her act like she could just go into my room. Dad wanted me to calm down and to let him find a replica of the figurine to make up for it. He also wanted me to stay, but I told him I would rather not after her attitude about the figurine and what she said about being grateful she'd look at that stuff. He worried a lot about me, but I moved in with grandparents, so I was safe and had other people there just in case, even though I don't actually need that. He just worries about me in that way. After the incident, I do not like my dad's wife and I keep my distance from her. But he's confided in her about my condition and the stress. She was upset I never talked to her about it, and she's tried to reach out, so I'll fill her in on more about it and the impact on me so she knows better. I've refused. I do not want to discuss my medical information with her or my health. She said we're family and she needs to know what to look out for, and she said I'll need to be around her again sometime or I'll lose Dad, so we should come together and I should let her care for me too. I didn't reply to several of her attempts, and the last time, 4 days ago, I did reply and I told her she's not my parent, she's not my actual family, she's not a person I live with, and she's not my doctor, and none of that is her business. She told me I'm making life difficult and to think more of my dad, who deserves to see us get along and be a family. She also said she deserves to know important stuff like this. Am I the jerk? No, I don't think you're the jerk here, OP. Your response is a direct correlation reaction to how she treated you initially, which was very poor, kind of disrespected your late mother, and so that's grounds to instantly go and see as far as I'm concerned. And now that she knows that you're sick, now she wants to be compassionate. And it's like, it shouldn't take knowing that someone has an illness or a condition to be nice to them. Like, especially if this is your stepson, you should have been nice from Jump Street. So no, not the jerk. Fabulous Shallot 1413 commented, "Dad, stop asking me to move back in. You're choosing her over me. You and her are why I moved out. Had you had my back and told her to stay out of my space and respect my boundaries instead of telling her my business, I would still be living there. I can't trust you or her. Please tell your wife to stop calling me, texting me, and reaching out. She burned whatever relationship we had or might have had. Your only choice to stay in my life is to stop talking about her, trying to get me to talk to her, or anything to do with her." Our next story is, "Am I the jerk for telling my husband to return a puppy? My husband and I are in our mid-40s and have been married 15 years. 2 kids, 14 and 11. A couple of years ago, our senior dog died. Since then, we've talked about getting another dog, but maybe when the kids graduate high school. Dogs are a huge commitment, and I have no time. Kids' activities 7 nights a week, and I work 2 jobs for 50 hours total. Husband has a full-time job too, but works from home 3 days a week. Yesterday, I came home to a surprise, a puppy. I felt angry because I made it clear I did not want a dog. The kids were all excited. He said it was my birthday gift. I pushed back and said dogs are a family decision, and I felt that he disrespected me. He flew into a rage, threatened separation, and spent the night elsewhere. He came home today, and I apologized for suggesting he got the dog because he wanted it, rather than a heartfelt gift. I told him he needs to return the dog. Am I the jerk? He mentioned separation again, and that I treat him like crap. I would say not the jerk for wanting to return the dog, since you made that clear from the jump. I do think that you're kind of a jerk for responding in the way that you did. Without the full loop of context and everything that went down, it sounds like the response was kind of ugly for what seemed to be just an honest, heartfelt gift. I don't see how this is disrespectful, so yeah, I'm gonna lean more on the side of, yeah, you're kind of a jerk for this. Bored of Ben commented, "Your NTA for not wanting the dog is it's a huge commitment. You didn't ask for it, and your husband didn't consider your opinion on it. However, I do have a question. Why would your husband threaten separation twice over a non-issue? Why would he mention that you treat him like crap? Because this isn't just about the dog. You two have serious issues and need to work on those if there is any hope for this marriage to survive." OP responded saying, "You're right, it isn't just about the dog. The marriage has been teetering on the brink for a while. My husband is on the spectrum. It makes conflict and communication very difficult. We sought marriage counseling last year because, at least from my viewpoint, he was never home, spending hours playing sports almost every night while I cooked dinner, helped kids with homework, etc. I told him the marriage was over unless he put more into the marriage, so yeah, he thinks I'm controlling and that my ultimatum was a poor way of communicating. It's the age-old conflict between couples, a tug-of-war of sorts." Our next story is, "Am I the jerk for telling my house guests they need to leave over mental health issues? I, 31-year-old female, had a friend, 32-year-old female, from university reach out to me asking if her and her sister, 25-year-old female, could stay at my place on their trip to the country I now live in before going to other cities. I had no problems with this. They fly over and were expected to stay a week at my place. I live in the heart of a very big tourist city. What I didn't know was her sister has some obvious serious anxiety issues related to dogs. It turns out, her sister and her had no idea about different regulations around dogs in the country where I am. Malls, restaurants, bakeries, bars/pubs, etc. are almost always dog-friendly where people's pets are welcome, and really except for grocery shops, they're allowed in and encouraged. Her sister became visibly upset when we went for a walk the first day she came, and she saw dogs without a lead walking around the city with their owners. She started really getting hysterical when we went inside a local Starbucks and she saw the dogs inside at people's feet. We immediately went home and I told her that you can't really avoid dogs because they'll be out and about. Her sister then told me she didn't want to even leave my place with all these unpredictable dogs and wanted to stay indoors the entire time. I suggested that this week and the following places they're going to visit are going to be exactly the same. The sister immediately tells me that they'll just stay at my place for a few weeks and fly home. I told them I was absolutely not okay with this, and that if it was seriously that big of a deal to her, that they needed to leave. Am I the jerk for asking them to leave after these change in circumstances? I would say in this situation, you honor the original time frame that they were supposed to stay with you, but anything beyond that, absolutely not NTA for making them leave. You don't want to put them in a compromising situation off of something that happened impulsively, so yeah, let them stay for 5 days a week, whatever it was, but anything after that, they are on their own. See you, bye. _Chakra commented, could stay at my place on their trip to the country I now live in before going to other cities. I had no problems with this. They fly over and were expected to stay a week at my place. You agreed for a week. The sister immediately tells me that they'll just stay at my place for a few weeks and fly home. It's not her place. A week doesn't get to turn into weeks without a discussion and mutual agreement. I told them I was absolutely not okay with this, nor should you be. You're honoring the week stay. Outside that, they need to make their own arrangements. There was no prior discussion from your friend about her sister's anxiety towards dogs. It sounds like it's severe enough that it's causing panic attacks. That's something your friend would have known, as it was her sister, and should have brought up prior to visiting. Hey, my sister really has a problem with dogs. How is it where you live? So there is a lack of forthcoming from her, which then turned into this issue. And even if they wanted to keep her anxiety private, they lacked due diligence on their part to Google the local areas regarding dog bylaws and prevalence. That's literally a 5-minute search, which would have saved everyone a lot of time, and they would have chosen another place to vacation. Regardless, it isn't something that's on your plate, it's on theirs. They need to find another place to stay, or cancel the trip entirely because there are dogs everywhere. NTA. Our next story is, am I the jerk for not joining my dad and his wife on mini vacations for my sick stepsister? I, 17-year-old male, live primarily with my mom, and I see my dad 1 weekend a month because he's lived 4 hours from us since I was 9, and my sister, 20-year-old female, was 12. Last year, my dad got married again. His wife has a 7-year-old daughter, she might be 6, with this rare chronic blood issue that has affected her heart. It could be terminal if she doesn't get the right transplants, and she's a rare blood type, and they struggle to get the match for, I think, bone marrow? But she's also waiting for a heart transplant. I don't know all the details. I'm not that invested in my dad's life or the stuff going on with his new family. I'm with them 1 weekend a month, and I try not to let my disinterest hurt the kid. This means she's bonded with me, even though it's totally one-sided, and I think it's because her life has revolved a lot around her health and hospitals, and she doesn't have a big family or friends because she rarely is healthy enough to go to school. With all that said, they take her on mini vacations when they can, and when they can afford to. My dad wanted me and my sister to join in as often as we can so his stepdaughter can have family around her, just in case. Like, in case she doesn't survive. I know she wants me there. My sister has never met her, so I'm not sure she cares about her. But my dad does, and his wife really freaking cares. She surprised me, but she cares. They invited me on like 9 already, and I never go. I never want to. After the last one, his stepdaughter ended up in the hospital and was so sick. They were angry that it could have been it, and my sister and I weren't there and didn't make it extra special for her. They asked if I wouldn't feel awful if she died and I didn't get to say goodbye, that I didn't make her final moments special. Am I the jerk? It's a bit of a tough one, but I'm going to say no, only because I'm not really team gaslighting in order to get people to do what you want them to do. The fact that you've bailed on 9 vacations already and they're still asking you seems like they're holding out hope for something that's just not going to happen. So even though it sounds rough, you're kind of looking out for yourself in this situation. So no, I'm going to say NTA. No_cockroach4248 commented, trying to force someone to care is only going to backfire. You were polite. You see your dad 1 weekend a month. Your dad's new wife is trying to turn this time into time for your stepsister. They've been married a year and you've been invited on 9 mini vacations. NTA, the weekend should be time for you to spend with your dad. Our next story is, am I the jerk for missing my friend's baby shower after she was over 5 hours late to it? Am I the jerk for being ready for a friend's baby shower an hour before it started at 4 p.m., was ready at 3, and the friend, whose shower it was, wasn't yet ready? I kept calling to check, texting, etc. The friend wasn't ready until 8 p.m. and finally texted me to come to the shower. I waited 4+ hours and I told her I could no longer attend. Now she's mad. Am I the jerk? More info. Also, I called her around 3:45 p.m. to let her know I'd be late, about 15 minutes, and that's when the waiting game started. I didn't go to the venue because I don't know her family well or the other people she invited, and I didn't want to be there awkwardly if she wasn't there yet. So obviously, NTA here, people that lack punctuality are really the most annoying kind of people there are. You know, it just shows a disrespect for other people's time, especially when it's this egregious of a time gap. Like, you're 4 hours late. No, you don't get any sympathy here. So no, OP, NTA. Tangerine Bouquet commented, if there was an announced time of 4 p.m. and in comments you mention a venue and other guests, your friend is obviously the jerk here unless she was in the hospital or something, and even then she needed to let everyone know it was canceled. There's no excuse for starting at 8 p.m. when people were invited at 4 p.m., though the hour before that is on you. NTA, and she sounds like someone not worth making plans with ever, especially if she's mad at you for not allowing her to be a jerk like this. Who arranged the shower? Surely they're furious. Our next story is, am I the jerk for refusing to let my wife spend my money on her best friend? My wife has known her best friend since middle school. Her friend is a lawyer and her family is quite well off. She makes a lot and is pretty generous with it. My wife has had a few things paid for by her. Specifically, she covered my wife's portion of her bachelorette trip. The other friends didn't make as much, and so she covered it. She also paid for a portion of my wife's rent twice, and she normally pays the bills if she and my wife go out for food. This friend is now marrying a doctor, and I don't think they have any trouble with paying for anything they want. My wife is a stay-at-home mom, and I'm a mechanic. I brought home a bonus of $3,000, and when I told my wife, she immediately started talking about getting her friend a really expensive necklace from this brand she knows her friend really wants. She showed me, and the cheapest necklace is $2,000 on the website. She insisted I should spend the bonus on a wedding gift for her friend. I shut her down and told her it's my bonus, and she really cannot expect me to buy her friend something this expensive. I don't think wedding gifts even exceed $100. She began fighting with me, saying I buy lunch out of the house and I have stupid hobbies that cost a lot of money, so why can't she spend some money like buying her friend a necklace? I do spend a bit on my hobbies and I have 2 cars, but I also work my butt off and her friend can definitely pay for it herself. She's marrying a doctor and they already have a house, whereas we're still renting. I told her she's being insane, and she insists we sit down and tally up everything I spent on myself in the last year, and if it's higher than $2,000, I should pay for the necklace. I think it's ridiculous to compare the two, and I'm refusing to let her buy her friend a ridiculously expensive gift. She insists her friend has spent a lot on her, and I also saved money because her friend pays for meals and activities whenever they hang out, so she doesn't have to spend our money. I get that the lopsided relationship isn't the best, but then she should refuse to do anything that costs too much, and her friend decide if she wants to just hang out without doing anything that costs money. She refuses to talk to me now, and I'm wondering if I'm the jerk here. No, of course you're not the jerk. This is your money, your bonus to do whatever you want. And again, it's not the fact that you're not agreeing to get a gift for your wife's friend. It's the fact that your wife wants to purchase a $2,000 gift for a friend. That's a lot of money, and balking at that does not make you the jerk whatsoever. Random Dirtbot commented, not the jerk for refusing to buy your wife's friend an expensive gift that's more than half of your $3,000 bonus. Potentially the jerk for what sounds like an uneven distribution of money and or input on how it's spent. When the spouse is a stay-at-home, the breadwinner can't lay total claim to income. My money versus our money. Supporting your stay-at-home spouse requires more than just ensuring their bare necessities are covered while you spend unilaterally on expensive hobbies and multiple vehicles, then complain about renting instead of owning your home. Your wife has a valid reason to question your cumulative fun money expenses. If you're legitimately concerned about whether you're the jerk, you should oblige her and tally up everything you spent this year on yourself. You may find that she's right. You spend big on you and she gets scraps. Some would consider that financial abuse when factoring in the power dynamic play. As the breadwinner, you hold all the leverage. With that being said, that's all the time we have for today. If you enjoyed today's video, drop a like and comment below, and if you want to check out our other videos, click the video on the right. With that being said, I'll see you all next time.